everyone, it's Sylvia here from Casino Library and welcome to Tangles on Tuesday. In this series, we're going to take you through the process of creating beautiful art pieces known as Zentangle.
Hey Tanglers, welcome back. It's Tuesday and it's the first of spring. So today I'm going to show you something different with our tangles. Today we're going to use them to create a card. So what do we need to start? Let's take a look. I have a flower punch which I've used to cut out one white flower from cardstock, and I'm going to use some of the tangles that we've been learning over the last 12 weeks. We're going to use those and draw them into the petals. It shows you another way that you can start using your tangles outside of the tiles that we've been creating. Okay, so if you don't have a flower punch, it's okay. You can just cut out a flower random. You can do it on a circle. It really doesn't matter how we do it. So taking a look at some of the tangles that we've learned over the last 12 weeks, our Knightsbridge, our Crescent Moon, Hollybark, Tipple, Jetties, Rain, so many that we have been doing, our Enzappel, our Vertigo, Joy, Pax. We've had a wonderful time, Printemps, and just recently our Onomato and our Nice, our Poke Leaf and our Indirella. So we can use any of those on our flower today. I used my Holly Bar and shaded the background, my Knightsbridge, Tipple, Printemps, Cadent, and this was meant to be Vertigo, but it kind of took on a form of its own, so it's a little bit of a cross between Vertigo and Sprig, but that's okay. That's how new tangles are designed. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with Petal here, and I'm going to start with Holly Bar. So I'm going to draw in my first two lines. Remember, Holly Bar is one of those tangles where the lines echo each other or aura each other. So this is my first line. Every line that I draw from here on in will stop when it meets another Holly Bar that I've already drawn in. Remember, they always pass under each other. They're never, sorry, I'm going to grab another pen. They never, ever actually pass over the top as such. So stopping when I reach this first Holly Bar and starting on the other side of it. I think I'll just pop back over that first Holly Bar I did. I think my 0.1 pen might need replacing. That's looking better. Okay, so just drawing in your Holly Bar. They don't have to be straight. They can be curved lines that go in all sorts of directions, and just breaking up the space that we have on that petal. It's quick, it's easy. It doesn't take much to do a card. Now, let's just take a look at the finished card. So I have this center, circle center. So when I'm doing my tangles, I'm going to make sure that I bring them down into that middle, even though it's going to be covered up, because it will look better than me drawing them shy of the center. And then when it comes to popping my circle in the middle, I don't want to have a gap or anything showing where my Holly Bar stops, and then I've got white and then the center. So just bringing those tangles down into the middle of the flower as well. Looks much nicer, gives a better finish. Okay, so just doing those lines randomly. They can pass anywhere, in any direction. Okay, so that's how it's looking. Each time you do, your tangles are going to be different. You can see that that Holly Bar there is different to the Holly Bar on my sample card. I'm not even going to try and copy that exactly. I'm just going to do what comes naturally when it comes to my tangling. So there's all my lines drawn in. Next thing I'll do is take my 0.4 pen and shade in all those white spaces between my actual holly bar lines. You could, if you wanted to, leave the background white and colour the holly bar, the actual holly bar, but I just chose to do the background today. So let's do that. So there we go. I finished shading the background, the white spaces in between my holly bar, and that's my first petal done. So what you can do is think of these individual petals as your string. So on a tile where we would normally draw in a string and work within that, think of the petal as your natural string and tangling inside of it. Let's do our tipple next. So that's this tangle here, where it's your circles varying in size. They don't cross over one another, but they do touch each other. So starting your next petal, I'm just going to start around the top area and do a circle, and you can see that's not quite a complete circle, which is fine. It's good to have your tangles go off the edge. They look more natural. It gives you a nicer finish. I'm going to just draw some random larger size circles through there, remembering to work your way down into the center slightly. And now I'm going to fill the spaces with smaller size circles, just varying the sizes until I have filled in that petal completely. So you can see how I'm starting to fill in the spaces in between the larger circles. Just keep working your way around that petal until it's filled completely. So this next petal, I think I might do crescent moon. Why not? So crescent moon, which is this tangle here. Okay, so I'm going to start working my way around the edge, doing those half moons, if you like, crescents, like that. Keep going right around the edge. And make sure that we do one working down towards the center as well. Okay, so then we're going to aura these. So we're going to draw lines that echo each of those half moons that we've done there, keeping them evenly spaced as you can, working your way around, just like that, and keep going. Just keep going till you get back to your first one again, because our next round we may find, okay, so the gap between each half moon is closed up, so that means the next round is just going to keep bouncing around without stopping, just like we did when we learnt this tangle. It's coming down, working my way around. Remember to keep turning your petal just as you would your tile, so that you've got the cardstock that you're working on and your pen in a comfortable position. Alright, so that aura has come all the way around and actually closed off. So I'm going to now mimic that, or aura that, in this next area. And you just keep going until you're happy with what you have. There we go. Looks pretty good. All right, let's grab our 0.4. What we do now is we're going to shade or fill in those original crescents that we created. So just going around each one and filling them in, just like I have there. So for each of these around the outside edge. Okay, so let's see how that's looking. So I shaded in each of my crescents, and I also shaded that last aura that was sitting in the middle, just to add a little bit of definition. So we're halfway through our flower, so grab your 0.1 pen again. This next petal, I think we might do some printemps, which is this aura here. So it starts in the middle and we do 1, 2, 3, 4 swirls that then comes back and finishes off on that outside swirl. So if you're not quite sure or can't quite remember, I'm going to start, just going to come around and go 1, 2, 3, and bring that around so it closes in on itself, just on the side. And you can vary the size of those and just keep going. So starting off 1, 2, 3. Now I'm running into my first printemps, so I'm stopping because our tangles don't go over the top of one another. I'm stopping here, and I'll imagine that passing through the tangle it's next to, and I'll pick it up on the other side. So I'll imagine that passing through and just finishing it off there. So keep going, working your way with those. Remembering where it meets another tangle, just stop and imagine where it would pass through. Okay, keep going. And the same when you get to the edge of your petal, just imagine where that would pass. If you were drawing it off that edge, just imagine where it would pass on the outside and bring it back around. So that's mine finished. That's my printemps. So remembering when you come to the edge of your petal, just imagine that continuing off the edge and bringing it back on the other side, the other edge. So far we've got 4 and it's looking great. 2 to go. So we've got our holly bar, our tipple, our crescent moon and our printemps. This one here, I think we might do some Knightsbridge, and that'll give us some nice balance with the holly bar and the crescent moon and the Knightsbridge, which all have some shading, and that will balance out with our tipple and our printemps and whichever one we choose to finish off with. All right, so our holly bar, our Knightsbridge, which is this one here. Now, that's it on the smaller scale on my petal, so it works great. All right, so just draw in, I'm going to do some wavy lines going across my petal. You can vary the width between your lines. Remember to work just 1 or 2 lines down so that you do come into that center of the flower. And another part 1 up here. Then we draw another set of lines going in the opposite direction. So I've come across, so I'm going to do some lines working this way. So that will look like, and again I'm going to make them wavy. I think it will be great and give that petal and our flower a sense of movement rather than doing them completely straight. So that's that there. Then grab your 0.4 pen, and what we do is work in a row, so to speak. We're going to shade every second space. So I'm going to start with the first one on the edge,
which is just here. Miss this one, shade the next one. And once you've got your first row done, it's then easy to follow through with the rest of your tangle. Miss one, shade one, and miss one. So that's my first row done. So the alternate row, so I've got a shaded one, the one under it will remain blank, and I'll shade this one, miss this one because it's under a shaded, so I'll go shaded, blank, shaded, blank, shaded, blank, and you just keep working your way through. So the next row you're doing the opposite. So if I've got a shaded one in the first row, the one under it will be blank. I've got a blank one in this row, so the one under it will be shaded. So it's just every second one. I just find it easier to work in a row. I'm just coming back to that top where I had just a little hint of a row. Okay. So that's that. Every second one, so keep working your way through. So come to your next row, it'll be blank, shaded, blank, shaded, blank, shaded, and just repeating that pattern till you filled up your petal. So taking a look at that now, that's my Knight's Bridge finished. So you can see how I've got a nice balance between what I call a heavier looking tangle because of the shading with those three tangles, the Holly Bar, Crescent Moon and Knight's Bridge, and then the balance that comes with the lighter looking tangles, so the tipple and the print temps. So that leaves just one petal to go. I think I might pop in some Indirella, so one of the new tangles we learnt last week. So that starts with a small dot, and then we're going to come halfway around that dot with a backwards C, and then we're going to echo. So if remember with Indirella, you start with your dot, your first echo, and each one gets slightly longer until you then decide, okay, I'm going to taper them back off so that they get shorter and shorter and shorter and peter out. So you can mix up the size of those as well. So with this one, probably should change that to my 0.2. It's just a bit finer, I'll get a better effect. I'm going to echo that again with a slightly longer one, and again with a slightly longer one. So you can see that there. And now I'm going to do a slightly shorter one and just start to, and shorter again and again, just doing them shorter and shorter and shorter till they become a couple of fine dots. So that's Indirella. So I'm going to do that to fill in this petal here. So another one in this spot, 3 getting larger, and then I'm going to peter them out quite quickly so that I have a smaller one. And I'm just going to keep filling in my petal doing that with Indirella. And remembering Indirella is one of the very few tangles where the lines do not touch each other. So the lines in the actual Indirella don't touch one another. And when you're drawing them side by side, they come very close, but they do not actually touch. So that's one of the very few tangles where the lines don't overlap or touch each other, unlike the other ones that we've done on our flower. Alright, so let's take a look. That's my Indirella finished, and again I've brought it into that centre, even though it will be partially covered. That's okay, it's better off to do that. It looks much nicer than having a gap, a white space when we come to putting our flower together. So there you are, your flower is now complete. So let's put our card together. Card front that is 10.5 by 15 centimetres. I've cut my piece of black carding just slightly smaller, so it's cut at 10 centimeters by 14.5, and I've just stuck that on the front. I have a piece of white card, and I'm hoping you can see it. It's got little dots on it. I've run it through an embossing machine, so something like a big shot machine, and an embossing folder, just to give that some texture as opposed to popping on a plain card front. It just makes a world of difference. Okay, so that will get glued to the front of my card like that. So I've built up my layers, and from there I can add my flower. Okay, so popping our flower together, this is the flower shape that we have done our tangles on. I've cut a second shape, so using that same punch from earlier to cut my white cardstock, I've cut another one in a colour that matches my base card, because I could pop my flower straight on like that. That would look okay, nothing wrong with that at all. But I do like the effect of offsetting that orange one behind. Oops, okay, so that will get stuck on there. And you can see how that just makes it pop. It really, really does make a difference. So there's a little hint for you there. So I'm just going to glue that on straight over the top and offsetting the petals. Good craft glue is all you need. It's just a little bit of glue in the centre of that flower. Pop it over, lay it over the top of the other one, just offsetting those petals so that you can see the orange ones coming through from the back. Look at that, beautiful. Now for the centre of my flower, I had a circle punch. It's about 3/4 of an inch. I punched a circle in, again, that same orange that we have there, and that's just going to sit in the middle, just like that, just to give it a bit more of a wow factor. Now you can use glue if you've got some foam dots you want to use to raise that up, which is what I'm going to do. Some foam dots or dimensionals are great. And let's just stick that on there. Look at that, that's come together really, really well. Now I couldn't find the circle punch that I wanted, of course, so I just grabbed my hole punch and I punched 3 small circles in black. And I find glue is a bit messy for these smaller circles, so I'm going to use glue dots to attach those 3 to the centre, like I have on the sample card. I haven't used glue dots before, they're an absolute gem. So it's simply glue that is already dried, sticky as it's like getting gum on your shoe. So I find the best way to use them is to push my card onto the glue dot itself, and then I can just pick them up one by one, just peel it off, the glue comes with it, and stick that on where I would like it to be. No mess, no fuss, too easy. I don't have to wait for glue to dry. I don't have to worry about getting glue stuck all over my fingers and then getting that glue on my card. So there you go, simple as. Now I'm going to finish that off with a little bit of bling. I've got some clear rhinestones here, little decorative rhinestones. I'm going to pop one in the middle. They're self-adhesive. There you go, there's your flower, looking awesome. Okay, to finish that off, we'll need our card base here to make sure you've got it right way up. You don't want it opening backwards. So I'm going to have mine going this way. I've pre-cut a green leaf because I just think that's going to come together nicely. Work out where you'd like to position your leaf. So you can see my original card. You could, if you wanted to, have your card going that way, no problem at all. You might just want to change the leaf, or have your flower, would look better going that way with your flower up high and your leaf coming out, but that's up to you. So just a small amount of glue on the back of the leaf. Not too much. We don't want it to squirt out the sides when we attach it to the card, because that will just leave a really sticky, awful mess that's too hard to clean. So that's all you need. I am going to pop a foam dimensional on the back of my flower, just one there like that, because I just want to have that sitting just slightly raised, which is what that will do. It'll let it sit. It'll let it sit just above the card rather than flush. So decide which way you want your flower to be, which way is up if you have a preference. Don't overthink it. If you start to overthink it, just plonk it straight on. Doesn't matter which way it goes. I think it will look great anyway that you pop that on. So once I've decided where I want that to be, I'm going to stick my flower on the top, and because it's only stuck in the center, that means I can slip this in under the petals, press that on gently, and look at that, there's your card. Beautiful, one Zentangle flower greeting card. Now for the inside, I always like to have a white insert. So what I did was cut a piece of white card that's 10 centimeters by 14.5 to go inside, and I just grabbed one of my pens and just doodled a bit of a border, just some lines, dots, dashes, whatever you like, and pop that on the inside. So that'll finish off your card. Okay, so this time I did something different. I just did some little loops in my border, just freehand, just let it flow. Stick that inside, grab your glue. All right, pop that inside. Couldn't be any easier. And there you have it. There's your Zentangle flower, your greeting card, done, bang, just like that, too easy. So if you'd like to have a go at making that card and you would like to use the flowers and leaves like I have, I'm happy to put a pack together for you. You will need to be able to collect that from us here at Casino Library. So I'll put together the cardstock and everything you need ready for you to do your Zentangle on your flower, and then everything you need to put it together and have your own finished greeting card. So I hope you've enjoyed that today, just something a bit different and a bit fun. So this is the challenge tile that I left with you last week, and the string included 2 definite loops in it for you to practice your tangle called Nice. And the other tangle that we learnt last week was the Indirella. So that's where I've brought them into my tangle today, and I also have Flux and Onomato. And this tangle here, I have brought in floors, and instead of doing the sort of diamondy type shape where those lines intersect, I've just opted for a simple circle. So there you are, and I've brought my, and I've managed to bring my Flux tangle down through here as well. So I hope you've had fun with that challenge tile. So your challenge for this week is simply have a go at doing a card like we did today. Don't be afraid to have a play with whatever resources you have on hand. And as I said, if you'd like me to put a kit together for you, a grab and go kit so that you can do this at home, I'm happy to do that for you. Just give us a couple of days to get those ready for you.
And remember, if you'd like to receive instant updates when new content is added to our YouTube channel, please click the subscribe button. Thanks for joining us here today, and we'll see you next week for another Tangles on Tuesday.